They whispered, "Keep your dreams locked away where no one can judge them." But I chose to build beneath the open sky, letting my failures breathe and my victories sing. For in this transparency lies a different kind of strength, the courage to be unfinished in a world obsessed with perfection. Welcome to the Rebel Poets Rising podcast. Dearest Rebel, fear has weight. I know because I carried it for years. Years of being afraid of what others might think about me or my ideas, afraid of putting myself on display, afraid of expectations around success. In late 2023, I made a commitment to myself to say yes more often to things that scared me. It was terrifying, it was uncomfortable, and it was revolutionary. And when I stepped onto a stage in front of 200 sets of prying and engaged eyes to deliver my first in-person talk, I knew that I had made the right call, despite my panic leading up to it. Since then, a mere 15 months later, I've said yes to speaking on stages to thousands. I've spearheaded creative projects for Fortune 100 companies and nonprofits, and I've actively chosen to lead with bravery instead of hesitation. See, the path from fear to freedom isn't about eliminating fear. It's about building alongside it in full view of others. You see, fear is a masterful liar. It quietly whispers, "You're not ready. You're not worthy. You're not capable." It convinces you that safety exists only in your silence and invisibility. But here's what fear doesn't want you to know. These are all illusions designed to keep you small and in line. I've come to understand that fear isn't actually trying to hurt you. It's trying, in a misguided way, to protect you, to keep you from the perceived danger of rejection, judgment, or failure. But in doing so, it builds a cage around your potential. See, something remarkable happens when you call out fear's lies. The weight begins to shift. The scales begin to tip. The fear doesn't dissipate or disappear, but because you stop giving it the power to dictate your choices, you're released from its suffocating grip. Fear cannot survive exposure to action. It feeds on hesitation and grows in the dark soil of someday. When I say yes to the things that terrify me, I'm not being fearless. I'm being brave. There's a crucial difference. See, fearlessness suggests an absence of fear, but bravery acknowledges the fear and moves forward anyway. With each stage I've stepped onto, each project I've launched before feeling ready, I've watched my relationship with fear transform. It's still there. Trust me. It's no longer driving the car now or choosing our destination. Instead, I've made it a passenger, an annoying, often loud, but no longer in control passenger. And you get to choose differently today. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to be ready. What you need is to go against the grain, to choose your hard more strategically, and to step out of the wings and onto center stage. As long as you have air in your lungs, you have a purpose to pursue. And that purpose deserves to be built in the open where it can inspire others to do the same. The shift from fear to freedom will light a path you didn't think possible. And to be honest, there's something powerfully defiant about creating while others are watching and maybe even questioning or criticizing. Let people see your process, your mistakes, your evolution. We've been conditioned to hide our work until it's perfect, only to emerge when we're polished and prepared. But what if? What if the real magic happens in the messy middle? What if your greatest contribution isn't the finished masterpiece, but the courage it takes to build it in full view? When I began sharing my work before I felt like it was ready, something unexpected happened. The very vulnerability I feared became my greatest strength. Because people aren't drawn to perfection. They're drawn to authenticity, to the raw, unfiltered truth of someone brave enough to say, this is me, unfinished and in progress, but creating anyway. Your willingness to be seen in your becoming doesn't just free you. It gives permission to countless others to step out of their own shadows. And it's why I'm here now, producing this podcast, to remind you that the shift from fear to freedom will light a path you never saw coming. But here's my question. What would you build if you weren't afraid of being seen? I'm your host, Kate Harris, and this is Rebel Poets Rising, a podcast for those who dare to rewrite the rules. Join me every week as we fan the spark of rebellion into a roaring fire, unite with fellow rule breakers and wake makers, and discover the power of our authentic voices together. Somewhere out there, someone needs to hear exactly what you have to say, exactly the way only you can say it, because your voice is the revolution we've been waiting for.
The Rebel Poets Rising podcast is a production of Istoria. To learn more about Istoria and the Istoria studio, visit Istoria.com. For more Rebel Poet resources, visit rebelpoetsrising.com.